Hi friends, and welcome to a new update or a new knitting podcast episode. Hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Maria. I am a knitter from Romania. I am 44, but I am living in Norway. So I started to make or to try to make one episode every week if this is your first time here, because I had 19 knitting projects on my needles 2 weeks ago, and I am doing all my knitting efforts to reduce the number and to learn how to become a monogamous knitter, or just, I don't know, to have a big project on my needles and maybe a secondary small one. So that's my goal. Also, I am trying to be more careful with how much yarn I buy. I will educate myself to not buy what I don't need right now, and to learn to, as I actually did a few years ago, enjoy going to the store because I had a project in my mind and enjoying just seeing the yarns and touch the yarns and see the colors and then decide what I should use for my next project. And I miss that feeling and I want that feeling back. So I'm working to get that feeling back. However, a week has gone already, and here I am again giving you an update of how works are going. It went well, it went even better than I planned, which is great because I am trying to not plan to do so much in a week, but I managed to do what I had planned and more. So I'm starting with what I am wearing, and I'm not learning my lesson. I always have needles here in my chair. I just forget. Okay, I finished this beautiful vest that is a pattern by Thea Coleman. Hello, I love her work. I just have a wish, and maybe I will leave her a comment. I wish she will start to design more projects in DK or fingering, because iron weight or worsted, it's not my favorite at the moment. However, this vest, it is called Shruff's and vest. I will put it on the screen because I forgot to check what that means and how do you pronounce it. Snuffs and vest, probably. I don't know. So this is a bottom-up construction, and of course you start with a hem, and it has this beautiful cable pattern which is extremely simple to make. But I guess you can see something different, right? Right. Because after I done my last episode and I got back to this project, I don't even bother to check how you do these little cables. And as you can see, my upper vest is looking different, and I didn't notice until I was halfway through my bottom band. And when I saw it, I said, no way, I am not going back. However, I didn't realize what I have done wrong, because the stitches or the cables are having the same direction, so no mistake here. Anyway, I finished the dress, I washed it. Even Thea Coleman left a comment and she said, indeed, I am doing something different, but she thinks the vest, it will look beautiful in the end. And I think it's looking, but here I know I've made a mistake that was not, it was a silly mistake, you know. It was just me trying to, okay, let's do this vest, maybe 2-3 days I will end with this project. However, the original cabling, it's 1/3 stitches. When I started to work again at this vest, I've done 2/2, and that's why the texture is different at the upper part of the vest than the body of the vest. How the designer is doing, as you can see, the also pearl stitches are more, how do you say, not 3D. You can very easy see the pearl stitches as a texture, but when I changed, I think that the knit stitches are the main character here. So the pearl stitches are in the back, you know. I mean, I think it's not the first thing you see. I don't think it's looking bad. I think it's just me knowing that I've made a mistake, and I really, really like the texture of the stitch pattern. That's why I decided to make the vest. Not only it was a vest, not only it was a V-neck vest, not only it was a bottom vest, a vest with buttons or open vest. I liked also the stitch texture, and I end up with half of the vest in the original texture and the other half in my own. Don't know what I thought about it. Yeah, I don't know what was in my mind to not check why. I but I didn't notice. Actually, I didn't notice when working. I didn't notice. Yeah, it is what it is. I think in the end it's wearable. I think it's more than wearable, to be honest. It's like it was meant to be like this. However, this is the kind of pattern that I will like to come back to one day, because it's such a lovely and easy to follow pattern. I love how she writes her patterns. There is not overwhelming information, but you don't feel you don't have enough information. She gives you numbers, she gives you measurements, and she gives you, I think, for me, the right explanation. And I feel like Thea Coleman, she's such a gifted knitwear designer. Yeah, you have so much to learn from her project. Now, let's get back to the vest. I've made size 1 and I didn't gauge swatch. If you have been here on my channel, you know I don't gauge swatch. And that doesn't mean that sometimes I might not end up with something wrong. It's just me refusing to stick with, how do you say, with this stress of making swatches with different number of needles and different yarns to achieve a number, and to stick to that number for the whole project, and stressing instead of letting my knitting inspiration to take control, and letting myself, I don't know, to experience and to learn actually the numbers that works for me, not the numbers that the designer are giving as an, I don't know, a point of, I don't know, starting the project maybe. This is how I consider gauge. I've talked about it so many times, and I know this opinion of mine, it's anything but popular. But if I manage to do almost all my projects successful without a gauge swatching, then yeah, think about it. Anyway, first of all, I've used a yarn that is a bit thicker than the yarn she recommends, which I don't remember because I never used the yarn recommended in the pattern, or at least almost never. I had in my stash some Yellhold triple from Yellhold Wool Spinnery. This is a Danish brand. It's popular because Petit Knit is using it. And I got this yarn last summer when we were coming back to Norway from Romania, and we stopped in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and I thought I want to try this yarn. My mistake was to choose the triple, which is a worsted. I would have loved to choose fingering, but it is what it is. Now, as I've said, this is bottom up. You start with the hem, and this is another example why I gravitate toward Thea Coleman patterns, because, for example, I never have problem with the hems from her patterns, at least not until now. So I never had a problem, and it's so great to not be stressed about it. She has a different method of cast on. It's the cable cast on, but I watch a few tutorials on YouTube, and hers is a bit different. I mean, it's when you cast on one stitch on your needle, and then the next step is to work 2 stitches in that stitch, and from there, the moment you have 2 stitches on your needles, you always insert your right needle in between the 2 stitches and knit 1 stitch, or pull the yarn through those 2 stitches, place the loop on your needle, and repeat. Always insert the right needle in between the 2 first stitches on your left needle, pull the yarn as a knit stitch, pull the new stitch on the needle, and repeat. It takes time. I remember with the first project, it took me, oh my god, I couldn't control my stitches on the left needle. They were so tight, and the needle couldn't go through the 2 stitches. And I remember the first time I've used a crochet hook, a small one, because I couldn't control the tension. But once I've made that cast on, I never had a problem. But it's not about a cast on. It's about the fact that, at least so far, from the project I work from her, she's mixing 1x1 ribbing with 2x2 ribbing. You know, I mean, you have some stitches in 2x2 ribbing, and then you have 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches in 1x1 ribbing, and then again you go to 2x2. So it's a mix always, and this creates a very, plus the cast on, a very how do you say, very good hem that does not grow. And this is the most important for me with hems. So it always feels so nice to do the hem how she says, because I know it will be what I need. Now, I've made some modifications. So first of all, because my yarn was thicker, I went in the pattern and read the number of the stitches I need to cast on for every size, because I know approximately how many stitches are working for my body with this thick yarn, and I choose to make size 1. Now, I've used 4.5 millimeter needles. My English is not my friend today, so I'm sorry. I've made some modification. For example, I've made the body shorter because I knew I wanted to wear this with a dress. And then so you work bottom up to the length the pattern says, or to the length you need. And then you work separately the fronts and the back. So when working the yoke, this is another modification I've made. I've made the yoke shorter a bit because, again, my yarn being thicker, I was not having the same row gauge as the designer. Well, not that I ever have the same row gauge, but just, yeah, you know. And so the vest, when you finish the vest, you need to work the bottom bands and the opening arms, the details. So in the pattern, I think they are in 1x1 ribbing. I don't think they are in 2x2 ribbing. It's one of them. I don't remember exactly. But I knew that here, I don't want the vest to fall off the shoulder. And now looking back, I could have decreased even more than the pattern says, just to be a little bit more cropped around the shoulder. But I think it's nice as it is, enough. So it's great. And I've done a night cord over 3 stitches for both opening arms. And for the bottom band and neckline, which goes together because it's a V-neck, I've made a double knitting from 9 stitches. I had 9 stitches, yes, and 4mm. I used 4mm. Now I might have been in a hurry to place the buttons, but I can always take them out and sew them again, or sew them, sew, to sew buttons again. Yeah, as I've said, English is not my friend today. These buttons, I had them in an old project that I unraveled, and I had exactly 4 buttons, which I was so happy to use them because they are metal buttons, and metal buttons are really, really my favorites. Okay, so I had 600 grams of this yarn in total. So this yarn came in hanks of 100 grams. This yarn is similar in meterage and thickness with heavy merino from Knitting for Olive, but I have to say that I love them both, but if I have to choose, I will choose this one. Unfortunately, they don't have colors like Knitting for Olive. So I love both, but this is a more favorite to work with. It's very woolly. It's wool, obvious. So it's not a fine wool. It's, yeah, it can be itchy for some people. For me, it's perfect. It is a very hairy wool. I noticed this with a lot of Danish wool. So I guess it's because of the shape. From the total amount of 600 grams, I still have approximately 200 and maybe 30 grams. So this vest took quite a lot of yarn. This vest has almost 350 grams, which is not ideal, but being a vest, it doesn't feel that heavy as a sweater, for example, because it does not have sleeves, which is good. Now I am left with 200 and something grams, and since I don't want them in my stash, I will pair them with other similar yarns that I have in my stash, and I will make a colorwork vest, but probably another one open with buttons, just because I don't see myself making a round vest with thick yarn. So it's the only reason. And now I have so many projects with back and forth colorwork that nothing amazes me regarding the knitting decisions I am making for myself. I think that's all for this beauty. I'm happy I finished. It was not a difficult project. It is not a difficult project. It's very enjoyable. You just have to cable 1 row out of 6 rows, and the rest of it is just knit and purls. It might be difficult if you don't like to work back and forth, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And if I change these bottom bands and neckline and opening arms, it's not because I don't like how they look in the original pattern. I do like. I always like how they are looking in 1x1 ribbing or 2x2 ribbing. But I know myself, and I know I will regret if I'm not doing something more sturdy that it will hold very well in time, or as well as possible. So this is the only reason. Okay, I think I've said everything about this project. I will try to put pictures and details in my Ravelry, which is on hold for so many weeks. I didn't update nothing on Ravelry. Okay, let me show you the next project I finished. I have told you last week that I was planning to modify my Bloomfield round neck tee that I test knitted a year before, not a year before, last summer for Knitonomy, and I finished. There is a difference of color in between what I've made last year and what I added this year, and I had the same dye lot, but my guess is that this was a bleach from the sun. Because I remember I wanted to dry very fast and I let it a bit in the sun, but I didn't thought it will bleach that much. I don't know. I will try to insert a little video so you can see the difference. Now it's not that obvious once it was dry, but when wet it was very obvious. And I have another problem with this tea, and that's something that I noticed when wash it. So I wash it at a washing machine as I do. And I told my mother-in-law, she said, okay, I will put it for you in the washing machine. And she said, what temperature? And I said, please use the wool program. Do you have wool program? Oh, yes, I have. And she used the wool program, but I don't know what cycle, or how do you say, the rotations. And it felted from the first time. And I know now that it's felted because I wash it again. And if you only can feel what a huge difference in between the fabric I added and the fabric I had. This is stiff, this is heavy, this is not elastic. This is very relaxed and elastic, not this one. And it bothers me when wearing. I try to wear this today, but I have a problem and I cannot have something very tight at my underarm for the moment. So I thought, okay, I will take it out. It's a shame because I do love it. I will try to wear it, but it will be so nice to make another one, although I don't think I'm ready this year to make this because this took forever and it was a test knit, and I think I don't have good memories because I had to make it in a short amount of weeks, and this was 3mm needles, and I know it's a T, but trust me, this took so much time and it's the only reason. So maybe I will be more tempted at some point, if I want an easy project on my needles, to cast on one and to make it in several months, you know, just to not feel the pressure of doing it. So, but it's finished. I will try to wear it. If not, I will give this to somebody who has less bust circumference, because this has felted, has lost also centimeters at the circumference, because I measure it now and it has 98 centimeters and I have 104 centimeter bust. So I have at least 6 centimeters of negative ease, which normally it shouldn't be a problem as long as the fabric is very elastic, but this, because it's felted, it's not elastic at all. The yarn I've used for this, it is the Isaiah Marilyn in the color E0, wonderful. And I love Marilyn yarn, but yeah, I would like to use this yarn again someday. Yeah, I think I test knitted size 3 if I'm not wrong. However, I added 6 centimeters in length and it's perfect now with dresses. If I have time, I will make a short video to put it here. Yeah, but I finished this. I want to show you briefly, because last time was drying, the new Ingrid sweater I've made. This was a knit along with some Romanian knitters, and it was pleasant but difficult at the same time. It is finished, and I'm not impressed. How should I put this in words? The pattern, it is wonderful. For it's not for nothing that I've made this 3 times, right? So it is a wonderful pattern. However, I don't feel this sweater at this point. I don't know if it is because this knit along took so many months, 9 months, I think, or it's because, you know, it's spring, and although it might look sunny, it's warm here in the house, but outside it's quite cold, even sunny, even when sunny. I don't know, you might hear my washing machine. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it will do the job when I will film this episode, but I hope it's not too loud. So I've made a couple of mistakes. One mistake, actually. I have this sleeve that is shorter and thinner, and I have this sleeve that is longer and wider. And that because I think I forgot what needles I've used. And I work one sleeve with a bigger needle and one sleeve with a smaller needle. It's not that visible when wearing, but it's annoying me so much. I will put this in my closet and see if I will wear it. If not, I will give this, because I'm not interested to unravel. This is wool from Hillesvåg Ask, and it is a very sticky wool, and when trying to unravel, you got the same job as when you need to unravel mohair. Although it's not mohair, it's that sticky. This is perfect for color work, for sticking. It's wonderful. A few details. I've made size 2. As I've said, I've used Ask. This is the name of the yarn from Hillesvåg. This is a lamb's wool, but it's not a fine wool. It's still a rustic wool. And not that rustic as others, but I don't know why people say that this is not that rustic as a Rauma Finul, but I think they are just as rustic, both of them. My opinion, of course. What else? I think I've used 4mm needles. I'm not sure. Yeah, size 2, I've used 300 and approximately 50 grams. This is gray. It is called Malert Gros. Yeah, it's a beautiful pattern, but I don't know. I think I overcome this type of patterns with these segments in different textures. I don't know. I guess I am in my color work era and vest era and cables. So yeah, we shall see. It's brand new. It's beautiful, but I don't feel, and just for you to see the difference in the sleeves, see, it's a huge one. Look how short is this one compared to this one. I'm not bothering to fix something. I'm not. It is what it is. So this is finished. Ingrid sweater by Petite Knit. Thank God it is finished. And now, surprisingly, I had time to finish another personal project, which is not a success. I finished this self-drafted vest, which is very beautiful. I am happy about it, but it's too big for me. And I tried it on and it's definitely too big. So it has around, I think, 110 centimeters or 112 centimeters. So it has approximately, I think, up to 8 centimeters of positives, which is great. But not when wearing my linen dresses. I mean, if you are wearing shirts and yeah, things, this is perfect over it, but it's not for my dresses. So my plan is, because I have yarn in my stash, not Jensen, as I've used for this one, but I have a different one, a green one, that I will love to cast on again once I finish another 2-3 projects. I hope so. And to make this project again. It's crazy that I made the numbers for multiple sizes, and I made the numbers for this size, and the instructions of decreasing and neckline and everything. And I will do it again with the other size that I'm planning to make. And who knows, that I'm always saying this, maybe one day I will be able to write a vest pattern, but not as a designer, because I'm not. It's just as a knitter who likes and loves to self-draft for its own body. So I really think it's nice. I really tried to make this part here nice when joining the shoulders. I could have picked up less stitches for the neckline, but I was making this for me and I really like a wide neckline. I don't like things to stay too close around my neck. So yeah, it's smelling so good. This is Jensen. This is rustic from Isayer. It's a wonderful yarn to work with, and I think this brown, it is so beautiful. I've used 4mm needles. I worked this bottom up. The cable is very simple to make. Yeah, it has, of course, double folded neckline, opening arms, and hem. Actually, I should make it even shorter, a bit shorter, but because it's a bottom up and initially I did not had a folded bottom band, I actually choose to not cut into this because I knew this will be larger than I needed, and I thought to not ruin it, just in case I decided to, not deciding, I need to give this to somebody, and yeah, we shall see if I can make, I know I will make at least 2 sizes because, yeah, I will need the second one. I really want to make this vest because I have the sweater and I have the cardigan, and I would love to have also a vest that I self-drafted. So in the same stitch pattern. I do like it. Yeah. So this is the project I also managed to finish last week. Incredible, isn't it? Now I will show you another project that I talked about last week, but I didn't show you. And I promise I find this at some point. It was in my car, but I didn't see it, although I look for it. Anyway, this is the Cardiff Cashmere Musselburgh hat that I've made for myself. And that is a bit smaller, as you can see. Here it feels smaller, but I'm hoping that with wearing this will become more and more bigger, but not, just as it is supposed to be. So again, it is a soft one, but yeah, was nice to work with this Cardiff cashmere, but yeah, it's too expensive. It's nice, but it's too expensive, and I feel like it's one of those yarns that you see them everywhere. Everybody's promoting them. I mean, it's too in my face on social media and here on YouTube. And for me, this is quite annoying sometimes. I don't know how it is for you, but I think, yeah, enough is enough. Yeah, so those were my projects from last week. Now I will show you what I have done this last or past weekend. I didn't knew what to work. I didn't knew, not that I was about to start a new project, but I was trying to decide what needs my attention next. And I decided that the Aberdeen Argyle sweater should be the next one because this is such a time-consuming project. So this is the Aberdeen Argyle sweater by Martin Story. I will put a picture on the screen with the original one. I've made some modification as I told previously, because the original pattern has a different hem and cuffs. I decided to make it in 1x1 ribbing, and this is my progress so far. So actually this morning I finished the neckline, and good for me, I waved in the ends, which were too many to count them. Honestly, I still have some, but I left them after I am sewing the sleeves, just because this is from the shoulders. Just if I need to, you know, unravel this, which I hope it won't be the case. And I've made a sewing also on the side of the sweater. The yarn is a Reuma Finule, and when sewing I've learned that I need to hold this yarn double because of the friction. It will break very, very easily. And I'm even considering to wash this as it is, and when finishing the sleeves, to wash the sleeves also. I don't do this, but I think with this project I need to do this. And when I sew everything together, I will wash it again as a whole. Now I'm making size 1. It's a bottom up by piece project. I've made a shorter body than the pattern recommends, and I think I will wear it with this inside with a hem over a dress because I think it's a bit longer. And I've made another modification. So you need to start when working the front, you need to start to decrease for the neckline when reaching approximately 12 centimeters from underarm. Well, I always do this at about 10 centimeters because this is what works for me. And this will allow me to lower the front and not feel the sweater up on my neck. But we shall see. That's why I'm saying that this needs blocking. I picked up stitches for the neckline just as the pattern recommends for my size. So I consider that this number works for me. And in the pattern it says to make just like 6 rows in 1x1 ribbing and then to bind off in stitch pattern. Actually I've made 5 rows and then I've made 3 rows of double knitting, and then I've made again another 5 rows in 1x1 ribbing and then fold it and sew it down. Yeah, I wouldn't say that the sewing at the shoulder, it's perfect, because my stitches were not perfect. My color work tension back and forth for this shoulder had quite a lot of problems, and here too you can see. That's why I want to wash this, because it's more easy to pull this without sleeves and to fix a part of the problems than when sewing also the sleeves. So my plan for the next week, not the next week, because today is Monday, I forgot to say, it's Monday 27th. Yeah, April. So this week I want to work at the sleeves for this sweater. This is a project I started in autumn. I don't remember if, I think October maybe. And it has been on and off on my needles. It's not a difficult project, but it feels a bit overwhelming because it's back and forth. And although the chart is not complicated, it's still a lot of work. It's a bit different than a fair isle motif, because there you kind of always do something new, let's say, or at least a motif can have a few rows and then you start another motif. So it's a different engaging project, but this one, it's the same and it's not the easiest. So that's why I'm saying this can be a bit overwhelming. But oh boy, how glad I am I reached this point with this sweater. So yeah, I'm using, as I've said, a Rauma Finule, 3.25 millimeters for the main fabric, and 3 millimeter for all the finishing details like hem and yeah, in general for the 1x1 ribbing. And this is so bright. I still like it, but I feel at the same time I feel it's too much. And at this point in my wardrobe, there is no dress that goes with this sweater. And I am thinking to order 2 dresses this year from Not Perfect Linen, but in a more yeah, in one color and something, I don't know if necessarily neutral, but I would like very, very dark blue. I wouldn't say navy, or maybe a gray, very dark gray, and something lighter. So 2, because everything I have checks, or I don't know, flowers, motifs, or yeah, all kind of things, stripes and things like that. So I need something yeah, that will give me the possibility to wear, I don't know, to be more relaxed when wearing some of my knitted garments. Yeah, but we shall see. For the moment, I don't have enough budget. So if I don't have enough budget, I won't buy it, obviously. Yeah, so this is my main focus. I hope so this week. I hope so. We shall see. I might work when this will feel too much at my own garter stitch self-drafted pattern, or I might work at a sock. I don't know. We shall see. But I have to say that I am so proud of myself and the progress I am making, and the fact that I'm sticking with the plan I've made, and I am so proud that I didn't get any new yarn, which is great, because honestly my budget cannot afford more yarn, and my space here cannot afford to hold more yarn, and my brain cannot process having more yarn. So that's good. It's a win-win for me. Of course, this is something I am willing for myself, but if you have different choices, that's good. If it works for you and you feel comfortable with and not overwhelmed, it's perfect. I have no problems with it. So I don't need to be, or I'm not trying to be an example for nobody. This is something that will work for me better. So that's it. Yes, my friends. I think that's it for this week. I hope you had a productive or, I don't know, week last week. I hope you had beautiful projects on the needles, and I hope you are safe. This is the first thing I am hoping, safe and healthy, and you have methods of finding peace and calm, and yeah, trying to do things that will do so well to you and your soul and your mind. And thank you so much if you have watched this till the end. And I hope to see you next week with hopefully more progress on my projects. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead, and happy knitting. Bye bye.